kill him.
Brian Hunt, you are hereby accused of raping Ayanda.
You've made a mistake.
We've got like 1,000 people watching this thing.
What if it isn't true? You are accused of raping Ayanda.
You've made a mistake.
We've got like 1,000 people watching this thing.
Hello and welcome to a panel discussion right here on Prime Video. We are at the Constitutional Hill. After all, we are in 16 days of activism, where we're trying to really raise awareness and have conversations about these difficult things around gender-based violence. My name is Penny Libiani. The movie is The Fury. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Tim.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Well, I'm going to start with you because you are the man behind this movie before we get to meet our entire panelist. So what is this movie about and what drove you to make this movie?
Wow, so The Fury is, well, I set out to make something as gripping and exciting, a thriller. It's a story about a young woman who believes that she's found the guy who raped her sister a decade ago, and it's her struggle to bring him to justice. So I wanted to make a film that was, that engaged with that debate, with the gender-based violence debate, that would spark conversation. So I wanted to make a film that was very dramatic, very engaging, and and that would draw people in and really bring out those conversations.
Exciting stuff. So let's meet the panel. Next to you is Mandi Samasheho. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, Penny. I'm actually a public relations practitioner, I suppose academically and professionally. Did that for about 20 years. So yeah, I'm really an activist and an entrepreneur, of course. And so I'm going to enjoy being in the panel. And I think without giving anything away, I'm really, really keen to hear what other people have to say, because I think my views are strong about it, but also I think it's a reflection of probably, serious traumas that South Africa is basically suppressing. And so I actually like how the movie deals with that component.
Okay, she describes herself as a feminist who fights patriarchy.
I'm a womanist.
A womanist. Love that. Okay, next to me is Tishio, who is the lead in The Fury. Congratulations on this project.
Thank you.
You're an award-winning actor. You have won a SAFTA amongst others, Best Actress, and you've been starring in a lot of great productions. What is it that made you say yes to this production?
When Tim came to me with this project, it spoke to me because I'm a feminist. I'm a transgender man. So it's very hard for me to play the ideas of what roles do I play, because there is no space for transgender men. And I've played women only. So this was a woman who has been battered, who has been traumatized, who is fighting the patriarchy. And I related with that woman's struggles. And this is what the script did for me, Tim, is I felt that there are so many, and not women only, there are so many people in this country specifically that need healing from the traumas that we have survived, that we continue to suffer. And I thought, okay, I'm being called to be a vessel for that voice. There are no answers, maybe just questions. So I was like, okay, I am being given a place, a platform to ask those questions.
For those of us who watched the movie, they did a great, amazing, compelling job. So thank you for that. Robin, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. So you get to work with young people in the NGO space. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Robin Davis. I run an organization called the Pick Me Up Foundation. We focus on empowering the youth through storytelling, so empowering them through music, art, theater, sports, and literature. I think it's a very important thing to do to guide the next generation to just change the narrative, especially in our country. As you said, everybody goes through trauma, and helping them deal with it and helping them be mindful about how to approach it emotionally as well as spiritually is something that's very important to me.
Awesome stuff. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Griselda Grootboom, you're an activist against human trafficking, and you're a published author as well. So just tell us a little bit about your work.
My work, basically, we deal with victims, and we also do quite a lot of awareness and campaigns and workshop around human trafficking and what it is in the country of South Africa.
Okay, great stuff. Well, now that we've met the panel, Tim, I think I want to come back to you in regards to the mission behind this project. I mean, you're a white male South African, and you wrote this production that tells a story of a Black woman, you know.
It's a very tricky position to be in. I mean, it's the position of the ally, which is something that in all the struggles as I grew up, I always seemed to be in that position. So it's a very difficult thing. But at the same time, the film was an expression of my fury and my rage when I think about just the levels of gender-based violence in this country and around the world. And that was actually the impulse for me to start writing The Fury, of just this he said, she said, and what he said sort of goes, you know? And so that rage and that fury and that anger is very real for me, even though it's not my struggle per se, but it's something that I feel quite deeply.
So bringing all of that to life, Tishiwe, for you in the time that we're in, you know, when this movie was shot, and from the backdrop of what he's just said, as an actor, you spoke about how you had to channel the experiences of different people, men and women alike. Where did you draw from? Was there a triggering moment?
I come from a history of women who have been abused. I know women who have been abused, from my own family, from friends, from society at large. It is sad to say that I don't have to search far to find a reference, even within myself. As someone assigned female at birth, I have been assaulted violently many times. People in relationships that I have read about, that I've heard about, that I know intimately. Rape is, for South African women, is something that is just, it can just happen. By virtue of you leaving the house, you can get raped.
Right, Mandisa, let me bring you in. So now we're going to bring it to the conversation about the movie. First of all, you know, your first reaction when you watched the movie, what captured you, especially with the backdrop of the kind of violence that we're talking about in our country?
I could relate to that kind of anger. And at the same time, I suppose because of age and experience and just becoming matured, many people would argue and say, you know, anger, this and that, and judge it. But the reality is that, as Tishu has just said, my theory is that all of us have been molested as Black females, because violence doesn't come from just the physical and the current violence. It's a build-up of centuries of violence, which obviously was imported to Africa. And the victims of it remain primarily Black females. It doesn't matter which continent you go to. And what I found interesting about the movie, which I thought was actually good, was that a white male was used to depict it. Because in majority cases, white male violence in a colonial society is experienced economically. It's experienced in terms of power relations. It's not experienced physically. And so I actually found it interesting that the rapist in this case, obviously Tim must tell us why, you know, particularly why he chose a white male. But we as Black females primarily experience violence from Black men primarily. Yes, of course, there is also the woman-on-woman violence. I mean,
Okay, I just want Tim to come in there and sort of like speak to that before we can bring in everyone else as well.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a very good question. Why did I choose to make Ryan a white character? I wanted the power differential to be huge, and he's a lecturer he was a lecturer, and I mean, there are plenty of white male rapists,
of course.
So
they
so
brought the rape here.
It wasn't that I couldn't do that, and I love the idea of this person who traditionally is in the power seat, suddenly having no power at all.
All right, got that. Robin, so you've been listening in, and your thoughts, obviously, you've a bit of the movie, in the backdrop of the movie. What was your first thought when you saw the Fury, the title, first scene? What's your experience?
Obviously, there has to be polarity if we're talking about something extreme. And I think a lot of violence in our country is very prevalent. It's impossible to ignore it. I think everybody, and I mean everybody, not just here, I mean everybody in South Africa knows a woman that has been abused. And like you said, you don't have to go very far to find these women. And I think one of the problems is like, it's not really a power struggle more than it is the force of weakness upon a lot of people. Because when a weak man is trying to find power, he's going to take the power from somebody that he finds weaker than them. And it's only when you are a weak person that you have no emotional control. And when you have no emotional control, it's going to come out in anger, it's going to come out in rape, it's going to come out in violence. And I think that's something that's very important for us to try to solve, especially amongst the new generations of South Africa.
Okay, because that's the space that you also work in, hey? Working with young people. Griselda, talk to me about your first experience with the movie.
The first, I think the female actress was very engaged in it, and I think just the lines, I would have liked more of a conversation of like how they've met and stuff, but I think that does come after a while. When it comes to, it's very rare to hear about white men abuse cases. We get those cases all the time where the woman calls us. And I think the last gender-based violence case we had on TV was a video clip of a white Afrikaans guy chasing his wife with a sword. So it was like, oh, wow, this gender-based and this side is like hectic, But the question is always like in between femicide and gender-based violence, and we call it femicide after the summit because that's where we come to. It was nice to see that, okay, this is going to end up somebody dying because that's what we have in the country right now.
Whoa, okay. Wait a minute.
No, but for me, it was in the beginning, like the first 10.
In the beginning, that's
it was like, yes,
okay,
there we
hold
go.
it there.
Somebody...
Really? No.
Sorry, it's
okay. Well, she's trying to get justice, right?
Yes.
And she wants the public
and I know.
to help her. Tim, help me out here.
Technology was like a play.
Okay, I don't know if somebody dies.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Nobody dies?
Nobody dies.
No, we won't be giving that away. You guys will cut around that, right?
So I think nobody dies.
Well, maybe somebody dies.
Maybe somebody dies. So Tim, you've got some scenes that you want us to go through. Are you ready for us with a scene that we can look at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, this is happening a lot faster than I'd planned, but yeah, it's okay. This is good. Here we go.
man. Let me go.
Shut the fuck up, Brian. No one's going in.
Will you, can you please just tell me what the hell is going on?
Tell you what, Ryan Hunt. Why don't you tell me? Come clean. This is your last chance to just get it all out.
Get what out?
Look me in the eye now and tell me everything that happened. What? How? Why? And then I'll let you go. That'll be the end of it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That is bullshit. You knew the second you walked in here. You recognized this room.
Please, Zola. Whatever it is you think I've done, you're wrong, okay?
Guy, this is your last chance, okay? I'm not gonna beg
How
you.
can I come clean if I don't even know what it is that I'm supposed to have done?
Ayanda Kunene.
What?
Ayanda Kunene.
Who's Ayanda Kunene?
Okay, so we're gonna do this the hard way. Okay, cool, fine. That's even better.
Please, just tell me.
Ayanda Kunene was my sister. She took her own life 9 years ago. 3 days after you raped her.
You've made a mistake.
We'll see.
I promise you.
Okay, no, don't say anything yet, okay? We gotta do this right.
Do what right?
I'm putting you on trial.
Okay, all right. So we've just seen the first scene. Let me come to you, Griselda. What does that say to you? What's going on with Zola?
Like I said, I really enjoyed the anger. It's revenge anger, and it's one of those things where you, as a survivor, like I said before, I get the question, I would love to meet the girl that trafficked me, and that anger, sometimes it does help to get it out for healing. So yeah, I enjoyed that realness where I get to meet. So the movie does hit that part for me.
Is that the first emotion that you were going for, Tim? To get us angry from the get-go?
Yes, well, it's called the fury. It really is. It's all about that anger. You had a wonderful word for it that you mentioned earlier.
The anger revenge, like revenge anger.
Revenge anger.
Yeah, because a lot of the times you get the question, like, what would you do for revenge or forgiveness? And I feel like just being in the room, and most of the court cases in our courtrooms, you know, a lot of victims get to see. And then you get to see the person, but you never see them get jailed. So I love the fact that, you know, the lead actress got to bring that out.
I must say,
in the whole room.
Often the survivors, the people who have been wronged somehow need to take the moral high ground, generally. And the one thing that this film offers is a sort of celebration of someone who doesn't feel like they have to take the moral high ground, that they can act on their fury and really engage with their anger.
There's that line where she says why and who, you know, so the why is always that you will ask as a victim, like, why? And that was beautiful to see.
I think for me, as you know, watching it at that point, there was also that instantaneous feeling of victory. I knew it was premature, but it was like, oh my God, she got him.
Yeah.
She got the pig.
Yeah.
Because that's how you feel. I mean, on behalf of her sister. So that sense of justice.
Right.
Which obviously in South Africa, there's just misjustice every day, right? So there's no justice in South Africa for anybody. So you get the sense of victory. It's like, you know, it's a movie, but you feel like she got the guy. She actually got the guy.
Well, we don't know if it's the guy
Yeah,
in the
you
beginning
don't, but I mean,
of the movie.
No, but that's how you feel. You feel like
we
this
feel
is
like
the guy.
this is the guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, for you as playing that character, did everything happen too fast as well?
For me, what I'm seeing now as a viewer is that Zola must have been fucking terrified.
Yeah.
This is a rapist
That
in
killed-
my house, perhaps.
Perhaps.
a potential rapist that she believes is a rapist and has had the strength to lure him in and then put him in her space. So she, on top of the fury, Tim, the terror, that fear. Yes, there's the anger, but there's also the fear and how those two things are playing with each other. And I saw that in the scene that you just played, not to toot my own horn. But I'm like, oh shit, she's scared.
She is, yes, actually. Yeah. So you've watched you watched the movie before, right? Because like I watched it a couple of times. I think in the first time I watched it, I didn't realize how scared she was. I just realized literally now that, oh, actually she was scared.
Because as she's walking everywhere, she's got some terror in her body.
After she tased him. She was also, after she tased him, she was like, I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Do we have another scene?
We do indeed.
Okay, so they haven't shut us down yet. That says something.
Entering chat request. Entering chat request from Ernestine.
Okay, remember guys, we are streaming on multiple platforms, so if your feed does go down, you can flick over to Peepstar or Livestream or Clariscope, the whole lot. And if all those go down, there's a channel in Estonia called Liberty Cast. They will stream anything. I mean, their bandwidth isn't great, but whatever shit goes down here tonight, they will stream it. Okay? So, Ernestine has been waiting the longest. Ernestine, you're on.
Hello?
You're on, Ernestine.
I can't believe what you're doing. I can't believe it. I think it's fucking amazing what you're doing. So I used to know your sister. We worked together at the deli. And I knew something was wrong. I just saw her one time after.
Go on.
It was like the light had gone out in her eyes. And when I asked her what was wrong, she said nothing. Men have been getting away with fucking murder for so long. And it's like, when it comes down to it, it's he said, she said. And it's like, that fucking Brett Kavanaugh, did you follow that shit? It just makes me so mad. And I keep hearing that this shit just keeps happening. So, you do what you gotta do, sis. Because we're right here. We've got your back.
Thank you, Ernestine. Feeling is mutual. All right, KPAC_HQ2. Yeah, you on.
This is performance art, right?
Wrong.
No. No, this isn't
Google,
not real, no ways.
hashtag justice for Ayanda. Everything is there. Police case reports, how she died, it's all there. I'm sorry to say it is very real.
Okay, so how are you gonna do this?
I'm gonna get him to confess.
And if he just doesn't?
Then, you vote.
Us? Based on what? 45% of people on social media think the earth is flat. We are probably the worst possible jury. Do you think that we are going to apply our minds? Do you think that we're going to bring critical thinking to bear?
Just then log off.
I will.
Don't do
I'm
it.
appalled at this. This is completely unacceptable. You should be ashamed of yourself.
We'll see. Maybe. But all I know is that at the end of the day, the truth will come out.
And then what? I mean, you're going to have to let this guy go eventually, right?
I mean, you're not planning on killing him, right? Zola. I'm Cindy from Western Area. And I'm with you and every woman in this country who suffered abuse at the hands of these bloody men. Our so-called brothers. They constantly abuse us, and we've been quiet for too long, alone.
Guys, I just logged on to this. I don't know what's going on, but this is whack.
This is lit. Oh, I'm glued. I'm not going out tonight, that's for sure. Only if she's gonna do it, like, go all the way.
Can I just say that I'm 1,000% behind you? That's all I really have to say.
We are listening, sister. Take your time. Make your case. You've waited long for this. We are so fucking tired of these patriarchal, misogynistic pigs.
So in the last 5 years, we've lived through, so many hashtags, and we've seen the rise of social media warriors. And with the Me Too movement, all of us, some way, somehow, we've been part of that. And the question that always comes back is, are we in the way of lawmakers? Are we giving voice really to victims? Are we getting justice in the courts of the public versus, since we can't get it, in the courts of the country? What is the role of social media when it comes to us dealing with gender-based violence and femicide? And your thoughts on that? And you bring it through strongly as well here, because the public through social media become the jury. Even though we don't have a jury system in South Africa's context. But what is our role as, the public via social media? Griselda, should I start with you? Because I know you're there.
I love social media, and we work a lot on social media, especially when it comes to porn around the world as survivors checking out. And it's been the greatest tool for women's voices, for us as women. We've been alone. So I feel like social media is our powerful campaign thing, because we always got to pay for campaign. And in a movie, it's quite nice when you start to see men becoming humans. We're like, don't kill him. We're like, oh, now you're thinking about killing. Wow. And it's just funny how humanity, the minute they see the fact that, she's about to do the worst. I mean, it didn't come out to that. But quickly people were like, no, don't. But media for us as women and activists has been the greatest tool ever for awareness.
Okay. And sometimes, the only justice you'll get is on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I mean, like, the criminal justice system is in and of itself criminal. And I mean, the conviction rate of all sexual violence and gender-based violence and violence against women cases is probably hovering between 6 to 8% conviction rate.
Right.
Yeah? And so the sense that you're just not going to get justice is big. And then the shame, which is what Robin was talking about. Like, nobody wants to really come out unless you really have to, because, we all feel the sense of shame, and we pretend to be empathetic and to take care of victims, but we don't really. Why? Because the system is still largely masculine.
So Tim, let's speak to that. Actually, we don't speak to that a lot. How in an African context, that's actually, we do have a jury system. It's just not that random people are chosen. It's people who know you in your community. But in that scene, in the movie, speak to us about that part. Why was that important?
Well, it's very empowering, I think, for the character Zola to be able to do this, right? Before social media, she wouldn't be able to do this. But it's a two-edged sword, because you can't control what comes back to you. Yeah. So it was very nice putting together the various clips that you see in the scenes of the various people, some of whom are going, go sister, let's do this. Others are going, you should be ashamed of yourself. So it's a very powerful force for good and for bad, I think.
I mean, for you, as playing the character, but also just as Tishiwe, living in the South Africa of ours, how social media plays out when we have a case, a lot of cases has sort of like found a voice in social media platforms. We can't dispute that. But also there's been cases that social media has sort of like jeopardized. What are your thoughts?
It's a painful reality because it's helpful because we think that all of a sudden gender-based violence is on a rise. It's just that we didn't know about it before the rise of social media, before Twitter, before Instagram.
It gave us a voice.
But now we're seeing that so-and-so went missing, is still missing. Please retweet my cousin, my sister.
Yeah.
It's a powerful, powerful voice. And it's a double-edged sword because the comments you read under that, oh my God, I feel like we're getting desensitized by seeing it all the time. It's like, you can just scroll past.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, so-and-so's missing. Scroll past.
Yeah.
We are getting desensitized to the reality of the fact that this woman
is actually missing. Something could have happened to them. They have a family. Yet at the same time, I think it also shows the level of miseducation as well. So that for me, it's always shocking. Like, oh my God, are you that ignorant? Like, are you not present in the times and space that we're in? Robin, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, like as you said, it's a very double-edged sword. The victims, they always need it needs to be known and they need a platform to speak out about it. But there are also missed cases around it. And this is very prevalent on social media as well because it's very abused. It's easy to take a hashtag or something that people believe they can do just to destroy somebody's life because they don't like you. And people have to be very careful about it because words are such a weapon, and people weaponize virtue, and that's something that needs to be considered as well because it's very dangerous. What can happen?
Well, I guess that's very important that we try to treat each case on its own merit as you know it's supposed to happen in a court of law. All right, Tim. Are we ready for the next scene to look at? So we've discussed social media.
Yeah.
We've got to know who Zola is.
Yeah.
What are we looking at next?
Well, you mentioned you can't control who watches it and who sees it.
Yeah.
And Zola, in this next clip, gets the fright of her life when she hears her mother phoning in.
Oh, wow. And the fact is, Ryan, what people want to know is the truth. If you did rape Ayanda, if you are responsible for her suicide, then the matter of you being tied up and being interrogated is of insignificant inconvenience, wouldn't you say?
You tell him, Zola. Just listen to the sound of the white boy's tears pouring down. Delicious. Pour me another glass, please. Please, one more. Hey, Ryan, drink your own medicine. You white motherfucking rapist, racist motherfucker. You deserve everything. Everything.
Zola? Zola, are you there? Zola, Uma, please pick up. Zola, kwenzakalani lapho mntanami? Everyone is calling me and telling me what's going on. I can't believe it. Zola?
Yebo ma,
You are disgracing the memory of your sister, mntana.
ma ngenzela yena ngithi. Ngenzela thina sonke.
Zola, this is not going to bring your sister back.
She needs justice.
This is not how I raised you, Zola. Please, Zola.
Angeke ngikwazi ma sengihambe kakhulu.
Bazothini kodwa abantu mntanami? Don't force me to phone the police.
Oh, uma useyakwazi manje ufonela amaphoyisa. Kodwa Ayanda bemrape
Stop
awayanda
it!
kodwa kwazanga.
Zola, you are busy dragging lezi zinto manje into the light. Ubukisa ngathi. Sisebenza kangaka ukuthi sidlule lapho manje.
Dlulanga ma. Lo muntu esekhona asidlulanga.
Zola. Mntanami, allow your sister to rest in peace.
No, she can't rest in peace ma while this man is walking free.
Ngisho bekuthiwa uyena mntanami.
Uye ma ngithi ngiyasho. Ngiyacela ma ngiyacela uqhubeke nje ubukele. Just give me half an hour more to make my case. Okay. Oh, yeah, ma. This is the man that took Ayanda away from us. Ngiyacela, ma. He needs to pay for what he did. Yini unobani lapho?
U-Osborn kana.
All right, so we've just seen a very interesting turn of things in the clip. I think earlier on I spoke about it's all good and well on social media until a familiar voice comes through. And the danger with a familiar voice is that they carry a certain emotion and they're able to trigger certain things. Tim, why was that important?
You know, at the end of the day, what this film is really about is about the relationship between Zola and her mum. It's about finding support where you should be finding support, I guess. And yeah, so it was crucial. Even though the mum is a small character in the film, she's an extremely important character because she blames her daughter. It's more important what people think to her than what actually happened, and that's a very difficult thing, I think, to deal with.
Yeah, and I think it also just speaks to a lot of one of the issues that victims have to deal with. You spoke to that earlier on about where violence really starts in familiar spaces and places, in our home, really, if that's the first place that we have to use. And for you, that aspect of the movie, Tishiwe, talk to us about that.
That was the most difficult place to live in. It was still, as soon as the character of Osmo came on screen, I couldn't look at it because it still lives in me, that experience. I used to be highly, highly Christian in my younger years and used to do door-to-door preaching. And the first time I heard about rape, I was about 8 years old and we were doing door-to-door preaching. And then this one woman pointed to a child after being very heartened by the biblical message that we had to deliver, pointed to a child that was playing outside and said, "You see that one? She's being raped by this neighbor and this neighbor." And then she pointed at the guy that was doing it, the next door neighbor, the man. And I immediately knew that violence and what it meant. And when it's in a home environment, I'm talking about someone that can talk about, okay, la estradin, lona uyariba. And this child is like it's happening
telling
every
you
day.
this, and you're a stranger who's at their house, and they're talking about it. It's like, yeah, they pick up water here, but they say there's a rapist there.
It's happening every day, and no one can do anything about it. So it's that powerlessness in this scene that Uzola had to live with. And that's why, for me, the fury is about the sister, but she's seeking justice for herself. She's seeking justice for herself, and there is no outlet for that because she can never say it out of shame, out of many, many, many reasons. And this is her cry for help.
Robin?
I think as people, we are tribal at nature, so we always want the support of the rest of our tribe. So when you don't get support, especially when you think you're doing something in the name of justice, it becomes very triggering for us that you don't have the full support of your tribe. And I think that anybody, because intrinsically we are so tribal, there has to be justice, and we have to, and we will always want to bring justice. And if the justice system fails, most of the time, in my mind, I believe, we will take that into our own hands.
Okay, so as you were saying that, I think, and this question would be for Griselda as well as Mandisa, we are saying that the justice system is already failing us, but isn't the first failure in our homes? I don't know, do you want to,
I was just like, the mother's voice, my experience as mother's voice being gang raped at the age of 8 in Kailicha. It was more of, it's my fault. And then a few years later, where we are right now at South Africa, and if we look at all the other provinces right now, they've decided to do, mob justice on any cases. And we don't like that, but where are we getting our, news from these couple of weeks of people doing mob justice? It's like they can send their kids to a tuck shop at 8 now.
So you're
You know,
saying
so there was a bit at the age of 8, my mom was like, it's your fault, and
So
gave me
you're
a
saying the
beating.
voice of the mother is changing?
I wouldn't, you know, our parents were taught back then in apartheid just to keep quiet, move on. So my parents' experience of being gang raped at the age of 8 was, you know, the similar, keep quiet, move on. You're bringing shame, discrimination to this household. So her voice coming through and go like, you know, Zola, why are you doing this? You're bringing shame. It's like the first one, like, yeah, that's why we have a problem today.
Mandisa.
Yeah, no, it's all of us have that problem, especially girls, especially females, because our mothers so deeply programmed in racist and chauvinistic, culturally chauvinistic, you know, ways of being. And women are so used to being, Black women are so used to being told what to do. I mean, we romanticize everything about African culture, and it's wrong because in majority cases, some of the things that we say are culture, it's patriarchal, chauvinistic, chauvinistic stuff that men decided to create for themselves, for women. So for me, in that scene, when Zola first recognized her mother's voice, you could sense the tension.
Yeah.
You know, almost like
her energy shifts,
that authority voice comes in, and of course, to do what? Just basically to reprimand you. And so it's
but
not
also
a surprise.
not to hear me out.
Yeah, to say keep quiet, stop doing what you're doing. Yaslaza, you know, bugisa family yonke. You know, it's just because this thing is also very uncomfortable for the mother, because in reality is that probably the mother herself has been brutalized and, you know, sexually violated and traumatized from childhood herself, and then she got used to that, and that's basically the relationship that she has with men, with her own husband or whoever her partner might be, and so she wants to pass on that automatic respect and unquestioning authority that we as Black women are expected to you know, to maintain. Like the relationship we're supposed to maintain with men is so unhealthy, not for us, also for the men, because, you know, when they leave the house, they behave that way everywhere. And hence the rape culture then continues. You know, I'm just born entitled to whatever it is that I want to feel entitled to.
Or your Osmo in the background.
Or your Osmo.
Tim.
Hey.
Okay, the mother's voice is not comforting in this moment.
There's nothing comforting about it, yeah. But you have to watch the rest of the movie.
Okay, so okay, without giving it away.
I will just end by saying it's not unremittingly bleak. There is some level of redemption there, possibly. So while the mother is not an ally, there is another character. Essentially, it's a two-hander, but then there's a third person that comes in halfway through the movie. I would like to introduce you to David.
What does it say?
233 guilty, 41 not guilty.
He's guilty. He's fucking guilty, and they see it.
Why didn't you tell me? What happened between you and Osmo? Why didn't you tell me?
I couldn't.
Well, you should have.
Don't be angry.
I'm not angry. I thought, no secrets.
There are no secrets.
Then what the hell? I thought we were in this together. I mean, I'm here risking everything, and you're holding back.
Because this has nothing to do with that. These are two different things.
Are they?
David Kuloma, it's going to follow you.
I just don't see how what happened with Osmo can't have impacted on this.
So basically, you are on his side.
No. Jesus. Have I ever been anything but on your side?
Then why can't you see? Why do they have to be related?
Because they are. They must be. You've been going through all these years with all this trauma.
So what?
So how do you know that your judgment isn't being clouded by your rage? I'm not doing anything. I'm just asking a question.
You're asking the same question that he's asking. Whether I'm some man-hating, ball-breaking bitch with a vengeance. Would you be asking me the same thing if I was a man? Huh? If I was some dude that was chasing down his wife's killer, would you say it's because I hate men? Exactly. Your question is not a question, David. It's a statement. And that statement makes you part of the same patriarchy as him.
Oh, fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck you. Fuck you, Zola. I'm here. I'm right here with you.
But you don't believe me.
I'm having my doubts, yes.
While the fight against gender-based violence and femicide can continue to be a fight about just women. As we continue in our panel discussion about the movie The Fury, which is currently streaming on Prime Video, let's talk about the scene that just happened, Tim. What is happening there?
You know, in a way, for me, that's probably the most interesting scene because Zola has this friend, David, who's clearly on the journey with her. He's an ally, but they're not aligned. And possibly my favorite line in the movie is when she says, if I was a dude chasing down my wife's killer, would you still be asking the same questions? And that is so relevant to this thing. So you've got Ryan, the guy she's got tied up, and then you've got David, who's on her side theoretically, but it's not easy going.
And it's not about David. But is David trying to make it about himself?
I feel like he is, and there's something personal besides it. And, you know, for him to say years later, you got rage and stuff, like, are we women constantly questions about our trauma? And if it's years later, what, you don't want me to cry? Seriously? So it really, it frustrates me, even if, you know, as women, we go to, you know, counseling, psychiatrists and stuff. Girl, please, my scars are there, you know, and my scars of being trafficked and being kept in the room. 5-10 years later, don't come and ask me, do I still have that? And it's clouding me. It's going to cloud me every day. I'm in a country where, you know, I get a call every day. So when he's asking after he's checked in with her, because clearly there feels like there's something more deeper than them being friends. Like, why is he knows their secrets? And then him bringing himself in now, making it all about him now, going like, why are you clouding and stuff in your rage and anger? Like, yeah, she does have anger, and we're not going to question my healing process. If my healing takes 11 years, it's going to take 11 years.
The trauma is still intimate, and it's not just justice for her sister as well. It's justice for herself. Tishire?
What hurt me most about this scene, and I never told you this, Tim, is the fact that David says, why didn't you tell me what happened between you and Osmo? Young Bulal. At Engati, it was
an agreement. Like it was an agreement that happened.
And that's how he understands it. And that's what sets the scene off for me. So it's not that, why didn't you tell me what happened to you?
What he did to you.
Between.
Yeah.
So that already says, this is not an allyship.
Yeah.
You see me as someone that engaged with this rapist. You being here means zilch. Because you still think it happened between.
Yeah, like you cooperated.
Like, when us, between me and my rapist, there's an us in your eyes.
But also I think it's, you know, allyship is a very difficult position. And language around allyship is not something that comes easy or that we have. This movie itself is an ally in the bigger conversation around gender-based violence. And we, you know, Tim, in All in Well, someone can say, it's triggering, I'm not watching it. but it's voicing the importance of the conversation that needs to happen. And the difficulty around the correct language is a trigger for the emotion, but it's getting us to have this conversation, because we also need to have a conversation around how do we really become full-on allies.
Penny, do you know what I think? I think the best way to be an ally is to keep quiet and allow the people that have experienced the thing or are experiencing the thing to hold the space. That's it. Don't center yourself.
Don't center yourself.
Oh, I think that people who have gone through this are 1, 2, 3.
Well, Robin, you work with a lot of young people and a lot of young men. I mean, I respect that position. And at the same time, I'm saying we got to get somewhere. This movie is taking us there right now. You know, how do men come into this conversation? Be an ally, being silent, or asking the questions correctly, if there's anything like that.
You see, language is very important. Language can be weaponized very easily, especially if you don't thoroughly think about what it is that you are trying to say, what you are trying to convey, and if you cannot articulate it properly, then there's always going to be something that is triggering to the next person. Personally, I don't like talking about gender-based violence because it is something that is more prevalent amongst the women of our society. I'm not a woman that has been abused. So for me to give my point of view on women being abused is something that I should not do because I have not gone through it, so I shouldn't have an opinion on it. I was telling Mandisa this in a basic form. There are evil people around the world, and I think that it's important for us to teach our young women that there are evil people in our world that are going to do this. We teach children not to steal. People steal. We teach them everywhere not to steal, and that's the most basic example that I can give. And
I hear you.
To talk about extreme issues like this, I think it is important to have men involved in the conversation, not for their opinions or their views, but to understand where you are coming from.
And it's very interesting to hear Tish say that about Between You and Osmo, because then I have to think to myself, I mean, it's going back now 2.5 years, how much did I think about that phraseology, and how much was me just being him, just sliding it in because you know I can't answer. I think I would have thought about it. I think I'm hoping that it was very much a deliberate decision, but it's also quite possible that it wasn't. You know, that it reveals something about the way that I think about gender politics that is far from ideal. You know, and so it's an interesting challenge. Like you say, language is so important, but it's a minefield, and that turn of phrase reveals something about the character and possibly reveals something about the writer. For me, the film it's not attempting to give some answers. It's attempting to raise some questions, and because that's really all we can do, you know. But it's trying to put it forward in a quite bold and dramatic and flashy way to raise all these like very core, very important discussion debates.
Funny enough, this morning, a friend's son, I happened to tell them that I'm going for this talk, and he says, "What are you going to say?" And then I say very jokingly, "Don't rape women." That's what I'm going to say. And then he says, "Why are you making it about women? Gender-based violence is not just, it's just," I'm like, do you understand the world you live in? I sat him down immediately. I'm like, yay, when? Do you understand that women are the most affected by this? That people assigned female at birth are the most affected by this? So don't you come here and tell me that even me as an assigned male at birth, early in the morning, in his school uniform, going to write an exam. I'm like, don't you tell me that as an assigned male at birth person that, I'm also, no, it is not the same for you. So do not. And I hate it when they pull that on social media. Like it is not. Being assigned female at birth. From the moment you are born, you are at risk.
Well, it's a conversation that's definitely continuing. You have to watch the movie on Prime Video. It's currently streaming.
And it's just so awesome for us as filmmakers to partner with Prime Video at this moment to launch the film into those 16 days. And for them to put this talk together, really shows that they completely get what this film is about. It's not just selling to some streamer who's going to put it on the wires, but it's actually engaging with the content of the thing and engaging on quite a deep level, having this conversation. So for me as a filmmaker, it's just a very fortuitous relationship.
The Fury is out, currently streaming on Prime Video. You have to watch it. And if you can, have some conversations and discussions with your loved ones about it. The Fury, the movie.
Zola, please. Just give me the gun.
I can't do that.
You are not thinking straight.
I've had it. These guilty fuckers walk free every single day. There's no accountability. No one pays the price for their actions. And it just keeps getting worse every single day. I mean, you turn on the news and it's children getting raped and women getting killed and burnt and broken. And the cops, they have it in for all the wrong people. Evidence just keeps going missing over and over and over again. Powerful men, they get away with everything. And name one politician that isn't corrupt. And the rich, meanwhile, the rich are getting richer and crazier and uglier. And everything's for sale, everything. Your daughter's being harvested. Social media is just full of stupidity and hatred and anger. And this vile, dumb rage. And everybody's got an opinion, but none of it matters. None of it. Why won't it all just stop?